Hello and welcome to DTV, your source for news and information about the Knox County Democratic Party. I'm Michael Davis, and I'll be your host for today's program segment with Representative Rick Staples, who is in the Tennessee House of Representatives representing District 15. Unlike many of our local state House races, the one for District 15 has a contested primary in August, and one that may be very well more decisive than the general election in November. And of course, Mr. Staples is one of the four, there are 3 to 4 hoping to take this seat or hold on to his seat here in November. Mr. Staples, thank you so much for being here with us today, and welcome to DTV.
Thanks for having me. Always good to be on DTV, and it's good to see you, Mike.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Welcome back to DTV, I should say. You've been with us several times before, so great to have you back here with us today. So there have been quite a few changes in the world, I believe, since the last time we talked. We're doing this interview by Zoom because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. So how has that directly affected your work as a representative?
It's a strange new world. There's many dynamics on how it's affected the state of Tennessee. On one side, we didn't know if we were coming back in a few weeks. Most of us thought that. So I left a lot of stuff in my office. Just the first day back in my office because we have to go back in May 26th. And with me being on finance full and finance sub, I'm prepping for some things. I have a couple of large pieces of legislation I'm trying to finish up. And so I left a lot of important stuff here. And of course, staff was gone. So it was like no one could mail it to you. Having to make contact through Zoom, through conference calls, through email, through text messages, dealing with the effect on small businesses, how minorities just have been disproportionately affected. And then several times the administration just acted as if they didn't remember that Black folk lived in East Tennessee. Just some of the decisions and how dollars were spent and using paramilitary institutions to do testing. So it's been a lot of controversy. If there's anything good that's come from it, one, Sirius XM did a Prince channel, which has been awesome. And then people are missing each other. We were so into our technology prior to the pandemic, but everybody's kind of Rick Springfield in that thing right now, wanting that human touch, wanting to be around each other and just listen and talk to a real person that you're not related to. So if anything good, it's come out of that.
Yeah, I've been making jokes about doing phone banking for other candidates that I think people are more willing to pick up the phone right now just to have someone else to talk to.
That they're not related to.
Yeah, right. So a lot of good points that you brought up there that I definitely want to get to. But of course, you're the incumbent in this race. Tell our viewers a little brief history of your coming into this office and things that you have been able to do since you've been there.
Been in here 4.5 years. I got a little bit of a stagger there. Coming in, my predecessor, Joe Armstrong, was in for 30 years, 28 years maybe. It's a different world than my predecessor dealt with. It's a strongly dominated Republican world up here. It's hard to squeeze a dollar out. It's hard to get legislation pushed past. I kind of married myself to the position to try to get some things done that I felt like worked for East Tennessee, but not only East Tennessee, the entire state. I feel like a legislator to look at having do the work that pass good laws that work for your district, but also work for the entirety of the state. Secondly, bring dollars home to your district. That's highly important. East Tennessee, Knoxville, my district has a lot of great institutions and organizations that do a lot of good work that haven't received state dollars. I've been able to bring close to about $700,000 home over these 4 years to institutions and organizations, and a couple of historical pieces of legislation. Tennessee is the only state in the nation that has online, interactive, and mobile sports betting only, which I caught a lot of hell for that, trying to pass it, but now they're glad that I did because we're about $1 billion shortfall, so to state. Everybody's glad that money's going to be coming in. We had no testing mechanism in place to test lead for our children and they're drinking and cooking water. And as soon as that went into effect, Michael, you saw all across the state, all these school districts that were testing hot and had been hot for several times. And so that's something I'm glad to have in place. And then for me, as African American from Knoxville, of course, you know, the doors of Knoxville College was closed. To have those doors open again was a mission of mine. And so we're making the move to make Knoxville College vibrant and active again in the community. So just a couple of things that have taken place, and a body of work that I'm really proud of.
Right. So over your 4.5 years, I'm sure you've been involved in several committees, and as you mentioned, it's a different world with the Republican supermajority. What are some of the things that you found in working with your colleagues, both in your own party and across the aisle, and in your committee work and other work on Capitol Hill?
Yeah, there's a strong difference between being a legislator and an activist. Legislation takes place because you have to have communication. I didn't say agree with. You have to be able to communicate, and you have to have a mindset to understand that your intent is always tested and comes across. And so I'm willing to do the lengthy time, late hours, have the meetings in the parking garage, run people down to try to get them to see what I'm trying to do and get them on board with everything that I've done. Even the Jawan Latham Act that increased the penalty for drive-by shootings. If a person's found guilty and they are of a drive-by and it ends with the death of bodily harm of a minor, it increases the penalty to act as a deterrent. It's taken me a couple of years out of those 4 years to get significant things done. But you have to learn how this system works up here. It's really a different world. It can be swimming with sharks. Definitely, Sharknado is what I like to call it a lot of time.
I would imagine.
And it's both sides of the aisle, man. But anyway, you have to know how to operate and keep your district in mind of what you're trying to do. Because I'll tell you, man, a promise is not worth anything if you can't make it happen. So make promises stick within your purview. And great ideas are just suggestions if you don't have the logistics work out on how you're going to get it done.
Right. Speaking of getting things done, what's your outlook for the legislative terms ahead here? What sort of are the major bills that are accessible, things that could pass, things that could bring some democratic values into actual law?
I've been trying to make Tennessee the growing state for cannabis. I'm trying to make it to where you can grow, manufacture, and produce cannabis in the state of Tennessee, leaving it up to the locals to opt into what they feel like they want for the county or their city. That's important. Economically, the fiscal note for that is a rich one. We could really use that injection into our economy. But we don't know how things are going to look. We're going to have to claw back. One of the reasons I'm here right now this week is we're probably going to claw back roughly $1 billion out of the budget. It's unfortunate. I was able to secure some dollars for my district that were beneficial to some other entities in Knox County. And it took a lot of hard work because the year prior, Knox County was completely left out of the budget. And through my relationships, I believe in bringing government to the people. And I've had several commissioners come to Knox County, come to my district, and actually put eyes on Knoxville and see what we're trying to do and put them in front of people. And I was fortunate to get Stuart McWhorter here to see my district, see what Knoxville is. And we had secured some money, but with the pandemic hitting and we're $600 some odd million in a hole, obviously I believe I'm going to lose those dollars, which is unfortunate. But prayerfully I can be reelected, swing back around and pick that back up moving forward. So.
All right. Mr. Staples, it's no secret that your office has been the subject of a few reports over the past year. How do you address those issues with District 15 residents who have questions or doubts about those?
Well, I just think I'm an open book. I think I should have been more attentive to the fact that I was going to be under heavy scrutiny, moving in and being more attentive about that. Should have done a better job of bookkeeping, but in working on the bookkeeping piece, I have a great relationship with the Ethics Commission. They like how transparent I've been, how transparent my treasurer has been, and we've been working in line with them, and that's turned out to work out well for us. Secondly, you have to be aware of interpretations of things and issues, and how an intent can be skewed to define who your character is. But I stand on my body of work, and those that know me intimately know what type of person I am, how much I've helped. One thing that has not been reported, I've spent over $56,000 within my district supporting local businesses and donating to not-for-profits, and have always been available. But I've done some different and controversial things. I've done some things that hadn't been seen before, and that's not necessarily a good thing for an African-American Democrat in East Tennessee, that trying to get these things done and doing it with a Democratic voice, unfortunately doing it with a voice of a Black male, will get you targeted. And as we can see across this country, historically, Black males have always had a target on them. I should have been more astute to that and kept my corners close and covered. But Mike, I want to say this: despite whatever I've been through, I've shown that I can go through anything, survive it, and stay focused on my job. There is nothing that has damaged the legislative body of work that I've done, the relationships that I have, and the trust people have in me to keep to my word and know what I am doing. I'm still able to be successful as a state representative, and my legislative record it has been excellent.
Okay. Well, Mr. Staples, thank you so much for being here with us today. Want to be sure to give you some time to let our viewers know how can they reach out to your campaign, help out if they want to, and contact you.
Well, I don't know. It's a pandemic. There's no history on how to campaign during a pandemic. I don't,
Right.
But I think now things are a little different. I'm a student of history. I've checked the sand, the sea scrolls. There's no, how do you campaign during a pandemic? There's nothing there. But it's look out for information to get out to you. We're going to tell our story. We're going to tell about the body of work, and we're going to talk about a body of work that's about success, that's about the people, about getting things done. This is going to be a long road, 3 to 5 years to recover in the state of Tennessee for African Americans, for Black and brown people, for small businesses. We have a long way to go, and you have to maintain an individual that knows what he's doing, knows and has the relationships. Tennessee is going through a rebuilding period. I have to make sure that Knoxville isn't forgotten about. I have to make sure my district is not forgotten about. And Michael, I owe it to the African American community that I represent east of Tennessee to the tip of Tennessee to make sure they are represented as well and not forgotten about when the pie is cut up and when resources are sent out. So I know how to get those things done. I'll continue to do that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point that so many people that already had so far to go, that road just got stretched out even longer. Well, Rick Staples, thank you so much for being here with us today on DTV. We've got about a minute left. Anything else that you'd like our voters to know about yourself and your campaign?
I think the biggest thing about it, please lean back to my body work and know that I'm dedicated to that. More so to myself, these are different times. Please understand that doing a kindness for someone goes a long way. Understand that social distancing works, and trust science and not politics. There will be another spike of this coronavirus. So please, social distance, be mindful as you go out. Let's not move too fast, because I don't want to lose any constituents. I don't want to lose any more Tennesseans. Losing one life is one life too many. So keep that in mind. Social distancing works.
Thank you, Mr. Staples. Timely words there. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. It was a pleasure as always. And thank you, everyone, for viewing DTV as we go on through the pandemic. I'm Michael Davis, your host for today's segment with DTV. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.